Hi, welcome to our next installment of In Conversation With. I'm Anna Chanthavong, the Assistant Executive Director of the National Hemp Association. Today I have Dwayne of Meta i-Hemp. Welcome, Dwayne.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time.
Yeah, thank you for being a member. And I you've been a member for a couple of months, but I did hear your interview with Eric Herlock on the Lake Reserve Farming Industrial Hemp podcast. I thought it was great, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I want to learn more about this platform. So I'm glad that you're a member and we have this opportunity to talk.
Now, you guys have been amazing. When I first get into the industry, you're looking for those people that know something, that know people, and you guys were kind of the first place that I went. So I appreciate your advocacy in the industry for sure.
Thank you. So yeah, let's get started. Can you tell the listeners, who is Meta i-Hemp and how did you get started?
Yeah. So Meta i-Hemp is a platform. Our company name is Hemp Katalyst, and the Katalyst, is sort of the function of what our company was built to do is how do we take the U.S. industrial hemp industry and help move it forward? And it's not arrogant enough to say that we're going to do it by ourselves. It's a community thing. And so our core business model is growing industrial hemp and processing it for use. But one of the things that I saw was a disconnect, was this ability for us as a community to talk to one another and communicate and transact. And so I built the platform that basically allows farmers to enter their acreage, their genetics, the way they're growing it, their row spacing, their redding process, so that processors can get a sense from how that farmer is growing, what they're growing, how they're growing it. Because what we saw is that there's not always a thread that goes all the way through from the genetic to the manufacturing. And
No, it's
so
not linear at all. It's more of a
it's
roller
like
coaster of anything, right?
it's like a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
And so we felt like using some technology might be able to connect some of those dots so that a manufacturer can see the genetics that were used in processing their fiber or their herd. A processor can see the specifications of a manufacturer, so they're processing towards a specification. Even if their primary customer's herd, it would be nice if they made sure the fiber coming out could also feed a certain specification for a certain textile.
Hmm.
And so the platform is kind of built to do all that for the customer. I call it like almost a single pane of glass. When I first started exercising the supply chain, I called a lot of people. I emailed a lot of people. I called more people. I emailed more people.
Hmm.
And I said, it would be kind of nice if I went to one place and said, I'm looking for this type of herd or this kind of fiber, and I would get all the sources from it. And then I would be like, oh, I want to buy it. I want to buy this and buy that and then transact. And then, oh, by the way, the shipping's included. I don't have to call a shipper. I don't have to see if they ship industrial hemp because, so we kind of wanted to donate this platform to the environment, to the community, to start connecting some of those dots.
Right. So you have pretty much created a centralized digital space for those that sell seed, even geneticists, farmers, processors, manufacturers, and logistics too.
Yeah,
Um,
we integrate with a trucking platform called Coyote.
okay.
So, what we wanted to do is to make sure if someone came here and asked for, a ton of herd, that we could give them the ability to get the shipping done inside the platform. They didn't have to go out and do something else or talk to somebody else, that we would get them quotes. They could select the quotes. It would all be engaged at the single place.
Okay. So calculated based on mileage.
Yeah. However, so let's just say I go in and I find the right fiber based upon specifications and I want to buy a ton of it. As soon as I basically put it in the shopping cart and put it in there to execute, it's going to ask shipping, where you're shipping it from and to. Do you need shipping support? And as soon as you do that, basically you will go out, it will hit another platform, come back with like 6 quotes from where you want to ship it to where it's going. And you'll be able to basically select one of those as your quote, the lowest quote or the highest, whatever you decide.
Mhm.
Enter your to and from, Do you need a landing? Do do you need a lift gate? Don't you need a lift gate? Blah, 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 all that stuff. And then just hit submit. It engages the shipping platform. So now your fiber that you just found within minutes, you just bought it, and it's now being shipped within the next day or two.
Mm-hmm.
That took me to do that. It took me at least 2.5 to 3 weeks before to
Okay.
exercise that full window of purchasing.
And how is your platform gathering all the, the data and all the companies that are online?
Yep. So we initially had to just do. There's so many puns in this industry, but we need to seed the marketplace initially with as many processors, farmers, manufacturers as we could find through lists that we have. So we have, tens of thousands of between farmers, processors, and manufacturers. We just put their companies in there so that when they came to the marketplace, they would feel like they belonged. But for today, a farmer would have to register. It's all free. They register. They can enter their acreage. If they're only growing 5 acres, they enter 5 acres. The seed, how they planted it, what kind of soil. They don't have to enter all this information, right? Most of our
The more
farmers do.
information, the better transparency.
And the better, like if I'm a processor, I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, I want Yuma S because I know that's the fiber that I've had the best luck with. I want Yuma S. I want it when it was planted at 2 inches versus 15 inches. I want it to be harvested at this time, readied for this amount of time, and then match instantly, right? So that's why. So a farmer goes in and enters that stuff, enters their price point. Like, are they selling it, selling per acre or per pound? And so, yeah, the processor basically enters their capacity. How much can they do? How much are they?
Per ton, yeah, per hour, yeah.
Yeah. But how utilized are they? Are they processing 24/7? Is it 2 shifts, 1 shift? And that's important because why would we start building a bunch of other processing plants if we had existing processing plants that had full capacity? So it's like getting all this information into one place allows our artificial intelligence model start asking questions and getting answers of where should we be growing more? Where should we be processing more? Where's the gaps? Is it in manufacturing? Is it in processing? Is it in growing? And all that to be delivered to the community in one place, so that you're not asking those questions to 15 other,
Right.
places. Yeah.
Is there a verification process of
Nah,
like who is legitimate?
that is a great question. When you go into we make it very clear this is an industrial hemp platform. We get a lot of CBD growers that come in, and we don't mind anybody coming in to look around. But in order to add your acreage or add your products, your herd, your fiber, you basically have to select the fact that you're the owner of that platform or of that company. You don't have to be legally the owner, but you have to have the authority. And so we basically go through a vetting process every time anybody selects that box. Make sure they are who they are, make sure they're part of a company, make sure that they're have the authority to add products into the marketplace.
So is the owner the person that's on the license, like, on the State
We
Department of Ag?
we check there first, right? We check
Mhm.
the license because we have the USDA database for licenses, and if they're not, they could be the son or the operations person for the farm. We don't necessarily need them to be truly the owner. We just need the farm to validate that they're able to add their acreage into this platform.
Mhm.
Because we don't want people just throwing a bunch of stuff in there, and just what I'm saying, like just people making up stuff and making up
Right.
companies. So there's a little bit of vetting that we do automatically, but then we also do some manual vetting. Our team does it. We're not talking millions of counts, right?
Yeah.
So
So you
yeah,
guys have the manpower to actually do that manually with
yep.
some like cross-referencing and whatnot. So when, a farmer inputs their information, uh, then a processor has access to that, or so farmers are free. What about the processors and manufacturers?
Anybody entering anything into this system is free. Putting your acreage, putting your process capacity and your products, adding your specifications as a manufacturer, all that's free. Transacting is free. All the trucking stuff is, when I say free, I mean executing it is free. Obviously, you have to pay for the herd and the fiber and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
we have a supply chain dashboard that starts doing analysis of the supply chain and providing that back into like a dashboard view and a drill down view of where all that demand is, what genetic is being grown the most, what's the most successful genetic per region, per soil type, what's the most used genetic for processing of fiber successfully. So all that stuff is going to be in a supply chain dashboard, and that will have a subscription base to it, because that's taking a lot of our infrastructure. I have to pay for that, but it's not. It's like $50 a year. This is not about making money for us. This was something that I felt was needed, and that we could all, as a community, grow together, so to speak.
Benefit from it.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. So is Meta i-Hemp liable for any contracts that might happen between a processor and a farmer? Or is there a disclaimer
Yep.
saying,
Yep. There's disclaimers when you log in. First, in order to get to the login, you have to. There's some basic disclaimers that we have. We've been asked to integrate DocuSign type of
mhm,
integration for contracts and contract validation. Again, this platform is an advocate, a broker, if you will. We do want to work, and we are working with some folks out of the Hemp Engine in Pennsylvania.
okay.
It's a NSF grant to
Mhm.
do classification of fiber, and they have a classification standard. So the better and more we can do to prove to people that what's being grown is what's being grown, the quality is the quality, and people can start trusting this platform and the industry, I think the better we're going to be. So we want to find those things that give us certifications. If it's a classification, if it's send us your samples, we'll certify it. Do whatever we can to make sure whatever is being sold and bought is what it is. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be responsible necessarily for the quality or the purchase of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And if any additional information is needed, they can just ask upon request. Like, so are they able to contact each other outside the platform?
Yeah. I mean, right now, what we've done is if you just log in for free, we're not showing you all the company information because we just don't want to be a place where you're going to take all the company's
And
information,
just
right?
grab the list and
Yep.
do your own thing.
And go. Yeah. So, but if you subscribe for an annual, what we call a premium subscription, you'll see all the company information for processors, for farmers. And then you'll be able to chat with them inside the platform. Obviously, the company, you can find them on LinkedIn, you can talk to them. We're not trying to sort of capture all these transactions, we're trying to enable them.
Hmm.
But we also believe that if we can enable the full value stream of purchasing from one platform, that it also could be useful to help accelerate this industry too. So yeah, we try to secure information. If you pay an annual subscription, you can see it, and we have no restrictions of who. Like we don't care if you contact someone outside of the platform.
Okay. Okay. Um, so if I'm interested in using your platform, am I able to contact you for even a demo?
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yep. We're going to do probably a webinar in the next month. We just launched it in June, so we just start seeing
Oh
subscriptions.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's fairly new, but we just wanted to get any feedback we could get from folks like you and others that have been great to us. And then basically, probably in August sometime, maybe the end of July, we'll do a webinar for whoever. But yeah, anybody that needs a demo, just email us and we'll set it up. I mean, like I said, we want this to be a tool for the industry so we're not worrying about that piece of it. We can worry about growing and processing and manufacturing. We're not worrying about how we communicate.
Is it filtered? So are there filters like through states or specific
Yep.
regions?
any piece of data that we have in here, you can do a basic search like Google search. You can say, just give me fine herd or fiber or Yuma S, Yuma T, whatever that is. Or you can open up the more advanced search and search by region, by price, by budget, by
Okay.
specification. You want only 10% moisture in your fiber. You want your fiber between this length and this length. You want this, you want that, you want this, and then search, and then you'll find all the processors that have those, that can support those specs. Or if I'm a processor, I can search for farmers who are regenerative farmers that are growing these genetics, that are growing it this way, that are harvesting at for a certain purpose, like fiber versus herd. All that is, within the platform. And we do that automatically too. If you as a manufacturer come in and put specs in and a processor meets your specs, it will automatically match you guys.
Like a match, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a dating app for,
Yeah.
for
For those in supply chain, right? Yeah. No, that's
exactly.
a great way to put it.
So that way they know they match with someone and they can now add them to their favorites, and the manufacturer knows.
Okay.
And the processor will see what the manufacturer's demand is, because when the manufacturer enters their specs, it's going to be like, we have 1,500 tons a year. That's our spec of these two pieces, this grade and this grade. We already have half of that contracted, probably from China or somewhere overseas. But we have available to the market the other half. And now processors can go, oh, I can meet that. And then they execute their little synchronization, if you will. And now that comes out of the market. So that's no longer a demand anymore, because it was served. And we'll do all the analysis of who's buying what, what's being grown, how much is being grown, how much is being bought from what manufacturer, what industry, what region. So all that will be in this dashboard view.
And this is just for the US.
Just for the US. Yeah, we don't care we don't care if other countries buy US fiber.
But the data will be
yeah,
just from
yes,
the United States. Yep. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's our goal, is to try to promote the US industrial hemp space.
No, that's wonderful. And before this was recorded, we talked a little bit how you worked for the DoD. So if you want to give a little bit of background of how you were able to just go from there to here.
Well, my wife wonders that all the time. She's like, who are you? Yeah, and DoD is Department of Defense. I know I use acronyms all the time because that's the world I lived in, but I've spent about 35 years growing companies inside as contractors to the Department of Defense intelligence community, building big data platforms for cybersecurity and intelligence fusion. And my partner in this, Stu, basically introduced me to, I've known him for a while. We're friends on the outside, but we never worked together. He said, you should check out this industrial hemp thing. And, I come out of the DoD world. I have a clearance. Hemp is a bad word.
Yeah.
Like,
don't say that out loud. Right? Yeah.
I was like, he's like, no, man, this is not what you think. It's not a drug. It's a, and so he asked me, because I wasn't really into it, but he was trying to start the business. He asked me to help write a business plan. And I did exactly what you said. I found my way down that hole. And once I went in, I've never come out. I've never come out. I started just reading and watching and reading and watching, reading and watching, reading and watching, and saying, man, there's such an opportunity for this plant. It's so versatile. Even if it's 1/10 of what we think it is.
Right.
It has to help. I mean, it's not like you're just doing it for environmental purposes, because it's the massive carbon collector that it is, but it's better material.
Yeah.
And what, it grows in 4 months? I was like, what? So I, after about a good month and a half of just helping him write a business plan, I said, hey, why don't we just start a company, you and I think we have a pretty good relationship with farmers. Our core business, again, is growing this stuff and processing it for use. And then we just added this marketplace as, as an accelerator, something that will help this industry grow, because if it grows, we grow.
Yep.
And then and then we also bring manufacturing back into the US And so, that's, yeah, I
An
went into
upgraded
the
yellow
whole,
pages.
yeah, there's those commercials now where you see, maybe they're YouTube videos or whatever, but you see parents giving their kid a yellow page, and the kid is like, "Oh, cool! Look at all this information. Like, what do we do with this?" It's like,
Yeah,
"This is
right.
all people." What?
What? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it is an amazing industry, and like I said, you guys, there's a couple groups out there that really have been guiding the stuff you've been doing up on the Hill with the Congress and Senate. That's huge. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it all gets passed, because that will open up this industry dramatically, because the farmers don't want to have to get background checks. They don't want to have to get licenses to grow industrial hemp. Some of the work that we're doing with Penn State is they're doing genetic research on trying to pull the THC out of industrial hemp, so we can have a pure industrial hemp plant and
Mhm.
no THC. So whatever we can do, and it's all going to be, the community of the willing, to help really just see this thing take off, because I think it's real.
No, and I'm glad that you and Stu made this company, this platform. So who are you both, like, software engineers and coders, programmers, like,
No,
you both
nope.
do?
It's
Okay.
it's a perfect combination of people that don't have any similarities other than music. We
Okay.
met each other at a music event, and we've stayed connected because of music. But he is a general manager at a car dealership,
Okay.
financing. And I've grown these companies in the DoD and stuff like that. And so I have like a business background and a technology background. He's got the relationship side of things down. So he's bringing restaurant chains into the mix, right? To try to replace their to-go containers with hemp-based to-go containers, not the bioplastics, but completely decomposable
Hmm.
to-go containers. Because post-COVID, all the restaurants,
Oh my gosh.
it's all to go now, right?
Yep,
Everything
yep,
is to
yep.
go.
All single waste,
Yep,
disposable.
yep. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's like he comes in with the relationship side of things. I have the kind of the business angle, and then we use Steve Groff as our farmer dude, like back there.
Of
He,
Cedar Meadow Farms.
yeah, yep,
Mhm.
yep. He's like one of the leaders in regenerative farming, and because industrial hemp is a rejuvenating plant, we see it as part of just a farm's regenerative soil,
Mhm.
and then they can monetize it at the same time. So it's giving their soil all this additional nutrients for their for their cash crops, but it's also collecting all that carbon. It's doing all these things. This is what I'm saying is, I said I was looking for the negative in this, and like you said earlier, is I can't find it. You know, other than the idiocy sometimes that we have as a government that regulates things without knowing why we're regulating. Other than that, I feel like we have the best farmers in the world, we have best manufacturers in the world, and we are most innovative folks. So we should be able to do
Mhm.
amazing things.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. So did Stu stumble upon industrial hemp because he found out about, hemp-derived biocomposites?
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
or
without outing people, he dated a woman that had a farm, a
Mhm.
dairy farm up in Pennsylvania, and they were trying to figure out what could we do with our land. And at the time, this was 2017, 18, when the Farm Bill came, and cannabis and CBD. And so his brain initially started thinking about possibly using it for the cannabis side of things or the CBD
Mhm.
side. But when he did some initial research, he realized that that stuff probably is going to be like it actually turned out to be. He's like Notre Dame. That is going to be like a flash in the pan, so to speak, right?
Yep.
It's a big market, but it went like that and then like
Mhm.
that. And then he started looking at the industrial hemp side of it and really said, this is a legacy
Where this is
based.
where the opportunities are. Yep.
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 So he was like, if you could give a farmer a plant that rejuvenates their soil that they can monetize, that's part of six largest industrial manufacturing: paper, plastic, cardboard, construction, batteries, nanoboards, just if you could do that, this is a legacy based plant.
Oh,
And
yep,
so, yeah, he brought me into it. And like I said, the hole is
yep.
dangerous. You get in there and you can't get out.
This is a no-brainer. Why are we
Yeah.
doing this? Do more of it. Yeah. And then you get to the nitty-gritty. It's like, oh man, we need absolutely, science-based research.
Yep.
And that's where we are. And I think that's pretty much what the Pennsylvania Industrial Hemp Engine is.
Yep.
I mean, I'm glad that Pennsylvania has invested, over $500,000 into this industry, just through grants and just participating and, opening the ears and listening to us,
Yep.
and, to the farmers. So
Yeah,
I
we
think
will.
it's wonderful. And I think you're based in Maryland.
Yeah, I'm personally based in Maryland.
Mhm.
Our farms, all the farms that we're working with, 90% of them are in Pennsylvania. We have
Okay.
a New Jersey, we have some New Jersey farms. Eventually we'll get down to Maryland, but we're part of the hemp engine up in Pennsylvania now. And
Okay.
so I spend, like yesterday I was in Harrisburg and Friday I was in Hazleton. So I find my way in Pennsylvania more than I'm in Maryland now. But Pennsylvania is actually taking this seriously. And
Mhm.
like you said, legislatively as well as for money and funding, this NSF grant is the basis for something really big inside of Pennsylvania. And I'm excited to be part of it. I can't guarantee I'm going to move to Pennsylvania, but my brother lives in Pennsylvania, if that counts.
Okay. No, and you're a neighbor too. Maryland's, just below us.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's great. I'm here in Bucks County. Um, so
Nice.
if you're ever near the area,
Yep.
let's talk hemp.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, thank you so much. And where can our listeners find you?
The best way to find me is LinkedIn.
Mhm.
But my email is dsugars. So DSHUGARS at i-hemp catalyst with a K .com.
Okay. And do you have a website?
We do. Well, there's two. There's the Meta i-Hemp. So METAIHEMP is the platform.
Mhm.
Our The business itself is the i-hempcatalyst.com. So I realized at the very beginning that to try to differentiate yourself from regular hemp, I rebranded everything with the I in front of everything, just so people ask, why is there an I in front of it? And, it's an education, as you know, and why you
Yep.
guys are so important to this whole movement is because you are the sort of the nexus for a lot of the communication.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dwayne.
Thank you very much, and you have a
Thank you.
wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.